Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the City Council, I want to welcome you to this town hall to discuss the Villa Rica Parkway. Interim City Manager Jennifer Hallman is going to be our moderator this evening, so I will hand it over to Ms. Hallman at this time.
Good evening. Let me also welcome all of you to tonight's town hall to discuss the Villa Rica Parkway. As Mayor McPherson said in her remarks at the council meeting last week, the decision to approve eminent domain for several properties along the proposed parkway was not one that was taken lightly. In fact, it was a last resort after 2 years of attempting to acquire the land to construct the parkway. We have heard the concerns of many throughout the community, and we hope tonight's town hall will provide you with more understanding of what led us to that decision and give you an opportunity to express your points of view. Before we begin tonight, I want to acknowledge something important. For many people in this room, this issue is not simply about a roadway project. It is about homes, history, trust, and the future of this community. We understand that emotions are high, because these conversations are deeply personal for many residents. Our hope tonight is not to erase the disagreement, but to create a space for facts, transparency, respectful dialogue, and community understanding. We're going to start with some background on how the route was chosen for the parkway, and to give you a better picture of the 9 properties that are part of the eminent domain decision. Then we want to give you an understanding of how the parkway is being financed and the total funds that have been expended so far. We will close with a look at the eminent domain process itself and specifically how it affects the 9 properties in our pending eminent domain filing. After the background briefings, we will open the floor for comments or questions. We will do this very similar to the public comment in council meetings. Therefore, anyone wishing to ask or make a comment this evening should have placed your name on one of the sign-in sheets located in the lobby when you entered. Each person will have up to 3 minutes to speak. If the number of speakers cannot be accommodated by the allotted time, we encourage speakers to select a spokesperson who may speak for a number of citizens. We will have public comment until around 8:55 p.m. Then we will end the town hall with a final comment from Councilman Barr. Now I'm going to ask Mark Teal, our city engineer, to come up and give us some background on how the route was chosen and other details about the parkway. Yep.
Okay, sorry, I've never used one of these before, but we'll probably not these either. Okay, so so as part of the process, and thank you, Jennifer. Oh, sorry, I wasn't holding it up here.
There you go.
See there, I told you I wasn't. So we're going to go through a couple of the one of the original routes and some of the alternate routes that we looked at a couple of years ago. Sorry, I'll try to keep this. So this is Villa Rica Parkway, late 2021, January 2022. So it's the same route as now, but there is a median all the way down the roadway. There's a 14-foot median, so we took that out to save money, and it also saved acquisition of properties. So.
Put the microphone down lower.
Or aim it directly at your mouth.
Yeah, because we can't
Like,
hear you.
there you go.
Yeah, how about that? Okay. Sorry. So now I'll show you some of the additional routes we looked at. So this is Villa Rica Parkway. This is Cleghorn, and then Anderson. And so one route that come up with was coming off of the Fuquay Villa Rica Parkway over here, coming around and tying in down here. Well, definitely, that is not an option. That is almost twice as long and twice as expensive. A lot of properties involved in that one. So another route we looked at was Anderson Road, so right across from Robbie Bishop Parkway, which was Fortune Parkway. So we looked at a route coming there straight downtown. That one had significant amounts of wetlands and streams, and the credits from the Army Corps of Engineers would have been very expensive. So the final route that the one we're currently working off of right now, so after looking through all these routes, we came up with what we thought, and listening to public comment, was the best route and the most least expensive compared to the other ones that we looked at. So some of the misconceptions on the Parkway, that all these were total of the remaining properties, all the 9 were total acquisition. Actually, there's only 4 of those and only 1 house. Those are the green dots up there, but I'll go through that map a little bit more detail soon. So on the entire Parkway, we had, for partial acquisition, we had 9 parcels. That's like, a 10-foot easement for sidewalk and curb and gutter, and then maybe a 10-foot temporary, I'm just giving you an example, temporary construction easement. Temporary construction easements, if you don't know what those are, so that allows construction workers to get on your property, and once the project is finished, then the easement goes away. There's no exchange of hands of property. So partial acquisition, there was 9. There's a total of 25. Sorry. Total acquisition, there were 16. Of those 16, there were 9 houses, and of those 9, there were 2 that were owner-occupied. Another thing, too, so the entire parkway is about a half a mile long, so that's right at 2,640 feet, and we'll come to that number here in just a minute. We'll come back to it. So we began our acquisition process, actually it was 2 years ago today, when we had the meeting at the library. It was May 20th, 2024, and so since then we've acquired 90% of the properties, or about 2,374 feet, and there's approximately 264 linear feet of frontage, property frontage that remains on the Parkway. Some of the issues that we've had, and people have right to hire attorneys, but once an attorney gets involved, we have no more direct communication with the property owner, so that takes a little longer to go back and forth with counter offers and things of that nature. That slowed it down some. There's some admin issues, mainly some probate issues with some property lines. Some properties, the owner had died years ago, and they were multiple siblings, things of that nature. Those, we've got to go to probate and to help them close on those properties. And the remaining 9, I guess I did tell you all that. And then another issue was some of the owners they were non-responsive. It was tough getting in touch with people, but that's really not an issue. But so due to privacy concerns, I can't tell you what we paid on these properties, but I will tell you that we paid a price that was more than fair and accurate and on all the ones we purchased so far. We've got a chart with all our percentages of how much all of them were above the appraisal value. No questions right now. You can ask that in a minute. So, and another issue is, so we've got a permit with the Army Corps of Engineers on a big culvert we've got to put in. We have until March 14th to put that in, or we possibly have to pay stream credits, and we lose our permit with the Army Corps of Engineers. So we're getting pretty close on that. It's a big culvert. It's a bottomless culvert, so it's not supposed to affect any of the aquatic life. So now I want to talk to you about these parcels. So I'll go through all these that are remaining on Villa Rica Parkway. So this one is widening for curb and gutter and sidewalk. This is Gordon Street, this is North Carroll, and then this is the new part. Yeah, it's partial. All the yellow ones are partials. So just right-of-way, temporary easement. The blue one is a drainage easement. So we got a pipe here. The big pipe's over here, but we got a pipe here, so we need a drainage easement here. The 3 yellow ones are right-of-way and temporary construction easements. And then the green ones, these 3 up here are vacant, and this one closer to Cleghorn Street has, it still has it's owner occupied. So that's where we're at with those. A lot of these, let's see, 1, 2, 3 or 4. 4 of those are probate issues that we should be able to take care of pretty quickly. So those are what you call friendly condemnations. The owners are aware that, and we're working with them to go through the process.
Mark, will you explain what a drainage easement is in layman's terms? What a partial right-of-way and easement is in layman terms, and of course, the total acquisition?
Yes, so total acquisition would be the entire property. So the drainage easement, so we got a pipe here. So the pipe comes out, and we have put some walls in to shorten up the drainage easement, but we're required to get a drainage easement for the pipe, the head wall, everything right at the, I think that's the entrance to the pipe, because it flows this way. And then the partials, the 3, 4 yellow ones, like for example, this one, we got a storm drain pipe going down the side of Anderson Road that's tied to this project. So we have temporary construction easement and about, I don't know, I think it's 10-foot wide strip of right-of-way along that property. And then these 2 are, this one's very small. It's about 700-something square feet, and this one as well. And those are on, there's no houses on those either, these 2 yellow ones. How's that? So of those 9 properties over the last 6 months alone, we've sent out a total of 10 letters to those property owners, multiple emails back and forth with the attorneys, and countless phone calls. So I think that's it, Jennifer, unless you, did I miss something? We're good? So the date that we have to have that culvert finished is March 14th, 2027. Yes, ma'am. That's the date we got the permit in 2026.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Now let's talk about the financing, the financials. I want to take everyone through how we're paying for the Parkway. As you know, we financed, or you may or may not know, we financed the construction of both the Fortune Parkway and Villa Rica Parkway through the tax allocation district, the TAD, which enabled the city to issue bonds. We received $19 million in bond proceeds to pay for both of those parkways. Fortune Parkway is complete, and that construction cost approximately $3.6 million. Villa Rica Parkway construction is estimated around $15.4 million and is being completed in 2 phases. The first phase has already been completed, and that was a total cost of $7.2 million. The remaining funds of the $8.2 million, plus all the interest, any interest that we earn on the proceeds while we're constructing the road, will be used for the second phase that Mark Till just discussed. And that includes the construction, the engineering, the design that's already occurred, as well as the appraisals and the acquisition. So through April of this year, we have spent around $3.5 million on engineering, design, appraisal, and acquisition. Of that $3.5 million, we've spent $3 million of that on acquisition cost alone. So that is how we are getting the funds to build these two roads. And, of course, when you borrow money, you have to pay it back. So how do we pay back these bonds? Properties within the tax allocation district. We created a tax allocation district, but they are taxed at the same rate, at the same millage rate, tax rate, as any other property within the city of Villa Rica. So, in other words, the tax rate for the properties inside the TAD is no different than the properties outside of the TAD. So think of it like this. When we developed or created the TAD, we created a bucket, a separate bucket for property tax revenue that was be generated from that tax district, from current properties that were in the district, as well as new development. So all of the property tax revenue that maybe from developments or residents that were going in and being paid, they were going into the general fund. When we created the tax allocation district, those property tax revenues now were not being placed in the general fund, they were being placed in the tax allocation district fund in that separate bucket. So what happens is we put money, the property tax funds, in that tax allocation district bucket. We build that up so that we're able to pay the debt service, the debt payments, the annual debt payments on those bonds. So all new developments within the TAD, like the Publix that has been built, the Chick-fil-A, some of the housing, the multifamily housing, all of the new developments that you have seen that are currently being developed, have been developed, or in the future, in the near future, going to be developed, those property taxes from those developments are going to go in this separate bucket. They're not going to go into the general fund. But it's at the exact same tax rate that any other parcel would be within the city of Villa Rica. Those tax dollars then, again, get set aside so that we can pay back the bonds. It's important for all of us to understand that the TAD mechanism is designed so that the growth in future developments helps support the repayment of the bonds. So now that I've explained that, I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney, Nicole Smith, to give us some background on the eminent domain process and how it specifically impacts the 9 properties.
Good evening, everybody. Let me scoot a little closer. Sorry about that. Eminent domain is a legal power that allows a government to take private property for a public purpose, such as building a road, installing utilities, or other community projects. A common misconception is that eminent domain allows a city to take property without paying for it, and this is far from the truth. The government cannot take property without following a process and without paying for the property. Typically, the process works where the government identifies the property that's needed for the project. They obtain an appraisal from an independent third-party appraiser to determine the property's value, and then the owner is offered compensation based on that value. If the owner agrees, then the property is purchased, and if not, the city has to file for eminent domain. Upon filing, the city places funds equal to the appraised value with the court. Property owners then have access to legal remedies once the city files. But the bottom line is that property owners do get paid. And property owners are still welcome to come back to the negotiation table, even if they're in the eminent domain filing. And we hope that some will. That's it.
Thank you, Nicole. I believe now we'll hear remarks from Councilwoman Conte.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. I wanted tonight to be an opportunity for people to hear directly from me, ask questions, and leave with a clear understanding of how we arrived at this point in the city. I know emotions are high. Many people are angry, frustrated, disappointed, fearful, or simply tired of feeling like important decisions happen around them instead of with them. Those feelings are real and valid. Concerns about displacement deserve honest answers. Concerns about growth deserve honest answers. And concerns about whether residents fully understand how decisions could affect them personally deserve honest answers. People are not wrong for asking hard questions. As a Black woman, a council member, and a resident here in the city of Villa Rica, I understand why conversations involving homes, neighborhoods, and communities with deep roots carry deeper emotions. Historically, many Black communities across this country have experienced development happening around them instead of with them. That history shapes how many residents feel today. For some families, these conversations carry pain, mistrust, and fear. That is not taken lightly. Over the last several days, my time has been spent listening to residents who are scared, angry, emotional, and worried about what this could mean for the family, their families, and their future. Those concerns have been heard. And I also understand why this moment may feel especially difficult coming from me. There may be people who feel disappointed, people who expected something different, people who question the decision or even question me. I understand that. And I respect people's right to feel how they feel. Service on City Council began 5 months ago for me. This process did not. Many of the discussions, agreements, and planning connected to this project began years earlier. That timeline matters. Not an excuse, but because understanding how this city arrived here matters. I also want to speak honestly about the process itself, because for many residents, that is where the deepest frustration sits. For some people, the issue is not simply that a vote happened. The issue is feeling like information came too late. Learning after the fact what decisions could mean for a street, a home, a family, or a neighborhood. Some people knew the Villa Rica Parkway project existed. But knowing something exists is different from understanding how it may affect you and your family. That difference matters. When residents feel major decisions move forward before impacts are fully understood, trust breaks down. When information comes late, frustration grows. And when people feel informed after the fact, instead of included before the fact, suspicions follows. That should not be ignored. This experience reinforced something important for me. Conversations affecting homes, neighborhoods and communities need to happen earlier. Communication needs to be clear, and opportunities for residents to ask questions need to happen before decisions reach this stage we are in right now. My quarterly town halls will continue. Open conversations will continue. But town halls alone cannot be the answer. Information has to reach people sooner and in ways that help residents understand how decisions may affect their lives and their livelihoods. Many people have asked, why didn't I vote no? Why wasn't the vote 4-1? Those are fair questions. By the time the May 12th vote reached council, years of agreements and obligations already existed. Council was advised that refusing to move forward could create legal challenges, financial consequences, and additional costs to the city, while portions of the process could still potentially continue through existing agreements. So let me break this down.
You're going to have your time to comment, so please, let's be respectful. Let's be respectful.
So let me break this down. On Tuesday, May 12th, 2026, when myself and other council members went into executive session, I was presented with two options coming in 5 months into this. The two options were, one, we vote to reject moving forward with this Parkway project that had been in existence for years, get sued most likely for multi-millions of dollars, meaning that the city,
everybody to be able to stay, please.
meaning that the city of Villa Rica residents, all the city of Villa Rica residents, would have increased taxes to pay for the multi-million dollars that is owed, along with the potential most likely case of us losing the lawsuit and still having to go forward with the 9 properties of parcels we are dealing with right now. Option 2, vote yes, discuss the 9 parcels with the residents to get the most profitable benefit for them, whomever's losing whatever property. Continue with our project that we have been obligated contractually to do. Those were the two options that was presented to me on Tuesday. People may disagree with that conclusion. The disagreement is respected. But acknowledging those realities felt more honest than casting a vote believed unlikely to change them at this moment in time that was presented to me. That is why the vote became unanimous. Not because concerns lacked value, not because questions didn't matter, and not because the decision was easy. I also want to address something that has created fear and confusion in the community. Some conversations have created the impression that this process involved acquiring an entire neighborhood. Based on the information presented to council thus far, that was not what the current phase involved. The current phase involved a limited number of parcels, including existing agreements, full acquisitions, and limited right-of-way acquisitions connected to the project. That difference matters because facts matter. And based on the information before council, this was not a plan to acquire an entire neighborhood. Fear grows when information feels incomplete. That cannot be ignored moving forward. Even with the disagreement surrounding this issue, I believe most people ultimately want the same thing. A city that grows responsibly without losing the people, neighborhoods, and communities that helped build it. I also believe disagreements should not divide this community beyond repair. People are allowed to be angry. People are allowed to question leadership. People are allowed to demand accountability. That is part of a healthy community. One lesson from this experience is clear to me. People should not feel surprised by major decisions that may affect neighborhoods, homes, or communities that they live in. Going forward, one commitment remains important: being accessible, being willing to explain, being willing to answer difficult questions, and being proactive when issues have the potential to significantly affect residents and neighborhoods. Trust may take time to rebuild for some residents. That is understood. Trust is not built by agreement or on every decision that is made. Trust is built by showing up, telling the truth as clearly as possible, and remaining willing to have difficult conversations afterwards. Criticism comes with public service. Threats against families do not. People can disagree. People can debate. People can protest. And people can hold elected officials accountable. And we are. But fear, intimidation, threats, and division should not define this moment in our city. Having threats made to me personally and my family, I take extremely seriously. And I will defend myself and my family by any means necessary.
Okay, we're finished with the shouting out. Captain, I hate to do this, but if you see people continuing to speak while she's speaking, we will get to the public comment time and questions. I noticed that some people are very capable of restraining themselves. If they can do it, everyone.
It's fine. Let them have their moment. Agreement may not happen tonight. That is understood. Continued conversation can. My hope is that everyone leaves agreeing. My hope is not everyone leaves agreeing. My hope is that people leave feeling heard, feeling respected, and believing conversations will definitely continue after this issue because it is needed. No matter what people stand on this vote, Villa Rica is one community. And as Villa Rica grows, the people and families who helped build this community should never be ignored, pushed aside, or forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Conte. Before we go into public comment, we do want to address several questions or concerns or some comments that we've consistently seen and heard from residents. I'll start just by naming a few, and then maybe we can then go into public comment. One of the ones that we've heard is that, quote, "You are taking people's houses, wiping out an entire community." This is not true. Only one property of the 9 remaining properties has an occupied residence that will be acquired by the city. Overall, 16 of the 25 properties affected by the Parkway have been acquired by the city. And as Nicole, our legal counsel, pointed out, the property owners can still come back to the negotiation table with us to work out a deal. Another consistent comment we have seen that we want to make sure is clarified: the 5-0 vote proves all officials betrayed the community. This is not true. In fact, quite the opposite. While it was not taken lightly and as a last resort, all of the council members were fulfilling their fiduciary responsibilities by moving forward with a project that had incurred a significant amount of the public's money. While we realize people are upset about having for us to move to eminent domain, I can only imagine how upset people might be if we stopped the project after spending nearly $3.5 million of the TAD money and still have to pay back the bonds. The council has been and will continue to be a good financial steward of the public's money. Another comment that has been consistent that we want to correct is that the city lied to get the bond. They did not own the land. This is not true. Owning the property was not a requirement of formulating the TAD and issuing the bonds. Under the TAD, we could issue the bonds to cover acquiring the land, the design, the engineering, construction, and etc. associated with the project. The next item is, quote, "The $1.7 million grant was rescinded because of fraud." Again, this is not true. To be perfectly honest, though, this one was on us. There was no fraud, but we applied for the grant too early. We wasn't ready to do that, and we were not able to fulfill the requirements of the grant in the timeline in which it was required. However, no grant funds were expended. So the grant was rescinded, meaning that we lost access to those funds, but we never used the grant funds. The next item is that the condemnation vote was not on a published agenda. When we talk about any kind of real estate transaction, including the Villa Rica Parkway, we always went into executive session. That is one of the items that we are allowed to discuss in executive session. And this had to do with just this topic. And every meeting that we have had regarding the Villa Rica Parkway and the different parcels or land acquisition, we always went in executive session, came back from executive session to take a vote. The next comment is we need a little bit more clarity on that. We've heard that, quote, "They are going up on the hill next." We believe this is not the same project. The Parkway project is exactly as Mark outlined earlier. People may be confusing other projects with this one, but we are not sure. So we're not in a position to offer any clarity. Perhaps in the comments section of this town hall, someone can explain what they mean by this. And the last one that we've seen a constant misinformation is that the road only benefits Mirror Lake residents. Again, this is not true. The Villa Rica Parkway will literally bring our city together. It will create stronger, please be respectful. It will create stronger connectivity to downtown, supporting revitalization and increased accessibility and safety for all of us. Infrastructure improvements include enhancements to water, sewer, and stormwater systems. So now let's move to public comment. Again, much like we've established in council meetings, we're allotting 3 minutes per person to allow ample opportunity for as many people as possible to share their thoughts and questions until the town hall is scheduled to end. at around 8:55. We ask tonight that everyone allow space for differing perspectives and civil dialogue so that all voices can be heard. We will take as many questions as possible before the end of the comment period of 8:55 p.m. So again, you have up to 3 minutes to 1, state your name, 2, ask your question or share your comment. You cannot concede your time to another participant. Then once you have finished, we will respond to your question if we have the information here. If not, we will be glad to get your contact information, which we have on the sheet, and be able to give you the information that you need tomorrow. So once you have finished, we will respond, and then we'll move on to the next participant. To help keep the meeting moving and allow as many people as possible the opportunity to speak, I will call up 3 participants at a time. 2 reserved seats are right here available for people, the 2 that will be waiting for their turn. So the first 3 is Amy McCoy, Alita Farmer, and Pamela White.
For clarity before it starts, are you answering any questions, or get all questions out and then you're answering
Yes.
immediately after? Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Did the city ever tell a grant agency, bond agency, or public that no family would be displaced, even though homes and land were already being considered for acquisition for eminent domain? That's question 1. The project documents, based on documents we have read, says that road projects include at least 3 creek crossings. Where exactly are those creek crossings? Mayor, you were on the WLBB and you mentioned that there are 3 projects, and as we've heard already, you said that residents may be confused between different projects, but when will the community hear about those projects? Because the mayor documented on that recording in public on WLBB that they are very much well aware of it, and it's going to affect the entire community. So what you're hearing feedback from this community in the audience is exactly that. When will you finally give that information? Which homeowners, renters, or property owners stand to lose homes, access, trees, privacy, quiet enjoyment, or property rights because of these projects? And then this one's for you, Ms. Marchman. On October 14th of 2022, there was a vote about those mitigation credits. Were you in that meeting? Because the one that was posted does not have you on that meeting. The minutes don't reflect you on that meeting. Also, it also noticed that Anna McCoy was not present in that meeting. It also was posted in that video that said it was not a live video and that it was changed to the City Hall instead of here at the Bishop Holt Center. Or Holt Bishop Center, my apologies. So I guess clarity for that vote that gave you an opportunity to start this project all along with mitigation credits. Were you in that meeting? And then was that meeting ever posted to the public through Times Georgia and the legal Oregon for posting your notices? Because that was a Monday morning at 9 a.m. So I guess clarity needs to happen there, since the community was not allowed to have that public notice. You posted that no one signed up for it. You changed the location. It's quite similar to when we had a hearing against the conflict of interest against you, Mayor, that I had to file for writ of mandamus just to get heard. So this community has the right to know what's going on.
Well, let's do 'em- Yeah, let's, okay. In regards to your question regarding did we, when we applied for grants or bonds, did the city state that there would be no displaced families, in that application? I am not aware that that has been done, but I can definitely, if you can share with me the information you have, I would like to look at it. But I wasn't involved in the application, so I couldn't give you a definite answer tonight, but I can definitely look into it. Regarding the creek crossings, Mark, would you like to,
Yeah, what was that?
the
Sorry,
different?
what was that question again? I apologize. I was still working on the first one when you started the second one.
No problem. I just want to make sure they were on record. So it was noted that there are 3 creek crossings in the East Side redevelopment plan. That is what got you guys the grant, the whole TAD to begin with. So it's documented in there. So just as you said, for me to give you the information, that's what we're asking, for you to provide the information, because what we have is that.
Yeah, to my knowledge, there are 2 major creek, well, one major creek crossing, and then there's another one very close by.
Where's that?
It's in the middle of the project. Let me come down there.
No, she's pulling it up.
Okay, it's right.
I know it's digitized here, but can everyone see it up there? For those that
This
have
working?
ADA
Yeah.
accessibility, I know it's a challenge for some people to see, but can you hear as well? I can. Thank you.
So the 2 creek crossings are in this area. They're shown better on that other map. Go back to the first one. They're here. 1, 2. This is Villa Rica Parkway. There's only 2.
Can you tell us what that those cross streets are? Maybe that may help.
This one's Gordon Street. This one's Cleghorn Street. Yeah, there's 2 creeks coming through here. This is the Waldrop property, so they sort of go around the Waldrop property.
Are they fully underground?
The creeks? No, that's not. Darden Street's over here. They'll be under the road. Yeah, culverts.
You had any other additional clarifications?
Just in case, why don't you stay up here just to be sure? Mayor, did you want to address the different projects?
3 projects that are going on over there that provided or caused some confusion is, one is the Parkway. Parkway comes off of what has already been half-built there along Publix and comes up and currently stops when it hits Cleghorn at the 4-way stop. Another project is a water line to go, a larger water line and a new water line to go in along Cleghorn Street. And that will run, say, where, does it start where the stop sign is? Where does it?
So it's already installed from
To the Parkway.
Villa Rica Parkway down to the far end of the apartments. Their last driveway, close to Robbie Bishop
Arbor
Parkway. That's already
okay.
installed. And we have to install it the rest of the way up Cleghorn towards the railroad, well,
Toward the
towards Ruby
railroad.
Street.
And that was
And then
causing.
the other way goes to Elm Street.
Okay, so that was causing, the Elm Street one we weren't addressing back then, though. It was the Cleghorn that went toward the railroad tracks, and there was discussion about to have sidewalks, to not have sidewalks, plus there were stakes being put in people's yards at the same time that we were talking about the Parkway. But this is a separate project, and that's for a new, bigger water line to go in there. The third one would be what was formerly known as Fortune Parkway, which runs from behind the hospital. We have named it Robbie Bishop Parkway, in honor of the officer, runs from the hospital, and it is now completed and enters at Andrews Avenue, totally separate from the Parkway, but all these things were being discussed at once, so it was getting confusing, not just for citizens. As a council member at the time, some of it was confusing.
So what you're saying is if for that Parkway, because even through documentation I've read, that was not a part of the original plan. You changed the development plan in order to add the Fortune Parkway. So I'm just getting clarity for the Three Creeks, what got pushed through that his money has already been spent and allocated through, but yet we're only just now getting answers. So thank you for a little bit
I
of that
have no
clarification.
reference to creeks, just those three
So
projects.
actually, I just thought of something too. So the third creek, more than likely, if you were talking about the big project, the entire Villa Rica Parkway, there's another creek crossing on the Fuquay portion that's already been installed. It's down at the bottom of the hill.
Okay, have we finally got any of those impact studies from, because I think it's quite a few, and I'm sorry to keep adding questions, but this is only leading to another question, because I've heard multiple times, and even from my very first comment with this board, not this board entirely, but since coming forward in June of 2024, we have been asking questions regarding the environmental impacts that have happened already to this community. And what you're saying is that, yes, y'all have had conversations. We've actually sat with you and you've mentioned there were 3 projects. You've also voted to bring in another road. So again, more impact on a community. Let me surmise that. When were you going to notify the residents besides today?
So as far as environmental impacts, we had to go through the Corps and the Army Corps of Engineers for a cultural resources study to get permits from both as a result of those creek crossings.
And you,
And the
That was provided
historical
when?
house that, I don't know, we have those.
Mr. Mecklin, I know you were a part of this. Oh, even for Jennifer, I'm sorry, hate to just call you Ms. Hallman, Deputy City Manager now. Thank you. Since you were the finance manager during that time, I recall, you would know from financial records being submitted and things of that sort. And again, I go back to even the attorney, even during that time, maybe he can also assist with that answer. But is that report finally ready?
Yeah, we have those. Those were done, those were secured through the engineer of record, Falcon Design.
Time, date, stamp, what?
I'd have to look, I don't remember. But we have those.
Mr. Mecklin, okay,
Yeah, engineering
Okay.
company handles all those.
okay. Since
Can we
know
follow
that-
up and get her
since-
some of the, because I know there's
I'm not-
other people that want to speak
Only because I
tonight.
know checks have been made to engineering companies, just like checks have been made to the appraisal companies multiple times. I'm
Pass
just
the
trying to-
information,
Yep.
and I'm sure he can answer, but I want to, other people need to have an
Okay, no
opportunity.
problem.
Yeah, we can get those.
I appreciate that. Those are some things I've been asking for. Did you have any other, needed clarification on any of the other questions?
No.
Okay. Oh, and yes, Ms. Marchman, thank you. October 14th of 2022, there was a vote about the mitigation credits, that there was a meeting that was held at the City Hall instead of here in this room. I appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you. Because it was stated by the mayor at that time that you were in the room. So I just want to make sure, because at the end of that video, it says it was unanimous. And so thank you very much for your honesty. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Alita Farmer.
Excuse me. I got too much paper, man. Again, I'm Alita Farmer, coming to speak tonight about, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me now? Because my voice is very, I would just like to, before I get started, because to get some clarity, but the remaining council members that have voted for eminent domain on some of the residents and their properties, I would like for you to tell us, how did you come to that decision, Mr. Tyler Barr, Miss Stephanie Warren, and Miss Shirley? Again, out of all of everyone, yours is the biggest disappointment. But I would like for you to share with us in the community, so we don't make the assumptions that you're cold and heartless. Because this message of doing eminent domain, although Ms. Conte, you mentioned when you were speaking that there was only 2 choices. No, there was a third choice. If the city had made us aware and did not follow the procedure which Mr. Attorney Mecklin had shared at a work session in Carrollton, that the city did not do their part in notifying us, making us aware of any of these projects. We had to research this stuff for ourselves. So I want to know, how can you come to the conclusion that I can just get rid of this community? And what I mean by that, if any one of us have to lose a home, all of us feel that loss. And these 2 women over here, Shirley, you go to church with them and you sit in the mother section with them. I can't understand it, Shirley. I love you, but I can't understand that. Now, Dominique, you don't know me and we don't know, I don't have nothing to say, but hey. But Stephanie, you told me you would never do this. And Mr. Barr, I know you just came in. But again, and as Leslie, I know I ain't even got to what I had the papers for. Apparently you had to stomach up for it. Like you said, it's not a need, it's a desire. So y'all were taking people's properties, no matter how much it is, not for a need, but for a desire.
Pam White.
Pam White. First off, so that there could be clarity all around the room. Stop the clock. Stop that clock. Okay.
Y'all need to answer some questions.
They want to answer.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. I do want to address Ms. Alita. For me, again, as I stated, when we went to the executive session last week, there were only 2 options presented to me in council at that time. I'm not aware of anything that happened in Carrollton. So this is my first hearing of that. So I cannot address what I was not present for, what I was not elected for, or elected to at the time. What I can say is when it was presented to us last week, those were my 2 options, and neither one of them, frankly, were good. There was no option to bail out of it without it affecting the community, period. Absolutely.
We are VR2.
Correct. Absolutely.
Go ahead and answer.
And for me, if the public will allow me, I will make a comment after you all get an opportunity to speak. So if you all allow me that, I will address it then. Thank you.
What brought me to make this decision is what the question was. Is that correct? What brought me to my decision was based on the information that I was given by our city attorneys, by our staff. That is what brought me to my decision. This was not an easy decision, and I understand how you feel in terms of how you feel about me. This was not an easy decision, though. I stand behind everything that I shared with you all. I stand behind what it is that I have shared with you, what I've said to you. Again, this is based on the information that I have been provided. The information that's been provided is the information that has been shared with you. I mean, surely we've heard the explanations that were given by Mark Teal, and well, again, maybe that's another question that needs to be asked to them, because everything that was described just a little bit ago is what I'm hearing. I'm up here making notes of the questions that have been asked, and I will absolutely follow up with these, and hopefully, I mean, we're getting some answers right now, but any of the other ones that need to be answered, I will follow up with.
Okay. Pamela White. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Shirley.
As Pam, as Stephanie said, we were going by the information we got. Maybe it wasn't what was supposed to be, but by what we got, that's how. But saying that I don't care, you don't know what I have been going through since this happened. I know it don't matter to you, and you all said it doesn't matter to me, but it does. Yes, I go to church with Joyce. Joyce and I have talked. So you can't within yourself say that I don't care. I have wrestled with this. I've prayed about this. I've cried about it. So don't tell me what I feel, how I feel, because I do have feelings. And no, the way you talk, you don't. But anyway, and I talk to Pam. Pam and I talk. I know how, she know how I feel, and we've talked about things. We don't agree on everything. Pam can tell you that. But Pam has come to me, and we have talked. I said I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but I know how I feel. And sitting over there talking while I'm talking, you need to examine your own self. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the one that's talking. Because I know how I feel. Maybe it was, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't. But I've done it. I've tried to, like she said, we sit there and we battle it out in executive session. And they know how I feel. It's not going to change it now, I know. But you don't know how I feel. You don't know how I have emotionally, physically suffered from what I did. And I have talked to Joyce before we even came to this. I've shared with Joyce, tried to help her make a decision, know what was going on. So how you feel about me, I don't like it. I don't feel, not saying I don't like it, but it does not make me feel any better or any less. So don't say that I don't care. I do care. Okay.
Pam White. And while Pam, I'm sorry, Vicki Dobbs, Linda Martin, and Tracy Evans for Dolores Evans, if y'all want to just know that you're going to be called up next. Pam, go ahead.
Hey, Pam White. First off, I want to say to Ms. Conte, you may not have been at the meeting in Carrollton, but you did meet with me and Alita and your boyfriend or your fiance back in 2024 when we came to you with the NAACP to help us because we were making you aware of what was being done to us in the city. We brought papers that day. We bought contracts. We bought a number of things to show you the harm that was being done, the injustice that was being afflicted upon us. That was the same day that I guess your better half came across the table in an attacking way, and you had to reframe him. And we said it's okay because we knew him. We weren't worried about that. But you very well knew of the harm. You can't say that you did not know and that you were just in this 5 months and didn't know anything. You did. We brought the receipts with us, everything that we was telling you about. It wasn't just coming from us. We've spent thousands of dollars obtaining open records. So we don't never step in here not to know what we're talking about. Respectfully, I was at the meeting in Carrollton and had a talk with Mr. Mecklin. he done had his hands full with the city of Villa Rica. He done had to do a lot of work. And I don't think we would be in this position had advice been taken from this council and the mayor at that time and when decisions were made. But it should be enough for this council to rescind their vote. If you know stuff was done wrong, how do you move forward and try not to have anyone held accountable? Mayor McPherson, you said numerous times that it was previous council, it was previous mayor that did things that was off the charter. It's on record. Is that something that hurt our community? That's something you ought to, I mean, you good at speaking, you like to talk, just like me. I said, but that's something that need to be known. That can't move forward. This can't move forward. And we're not going to lie down on it. We're not laying down on it. We can't tell anyone what to do about their properties. If they want to sell, that's their prerogative. But anyone that don't want, we will fight if we have to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court. Thieving is not going to be permitted. Not over there. That's it.
Vicky Dobbs. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Ms. White, I want to address you since you personally directed me respectfully. Okay. You are correct. I am the president of the Carroll County NAACP, and we did have a meeting a couple of years ago pertaining to what had started here at Villa Rica pertaining to the project. At that time, representing the branch, I informed you we did not have a lot of information there. I also informed you you would need to do a proper documentation through the branch, which is procedure. You never did that documentation. Okay. During that time frame, you did discuss with me your concerns pertaining to the project. At that time, I listened respectfully. I said this was the first of me hearing it, and I stated that the branch, all of NAACP, has a process when you are trying to get any type of engagement or investigation, because we have to determine whether or not it's a civil rights litigation, which is what we stand for since 1909, or is it criminal, which is not what we stand for, but we do refer you to others that handle the criminal part, because that's not what we do. We are a civil rights organization pertaining to whatever was going on at that time during the project. At that time, I had no inclination I was going to run for office. I was not an elected official. I was not an electee or a candidate. I was just the president of Carroll County NAACP branch as I am right now. So that discussion was not pertaining to the mayor or anything else. It was what you were saying the community at that time was going through. And I presented the procedure for that to happen. Refraining from what you stated with my significant other, I do not recall any type of antagonism. I am aware that you guys know each other as families because he's born and bred Villa Rican as well. But what I'm not going to do with anyone is go in a debate pertaining to my personal life on an issue that did not occur. Okay, so we are aware, Ms. White, Ms. White, you are aware that he is also vice president as well on the branch. So that was his responsibility pertaining to the branch. That had nothing to do with personal. This was procedure. I'm the president. We have 3 vice presidents. He's one of them. So that was the procedure. We were following protocol. That had nothing to do with a personal engagement. And we always welcome anyone in the community to file a proper complaint. That proper complaint, when it did finally, as you stated, we did an email because I brought it back to the branch as you asked me to. And we did do an email to you, and you are more than willing to share that, as we have a copy of it too. I understand that you guys were not happy with the branch's decision, but again, we are civil rights. We are not criminal, so we could only do so much in that realm that we were presented with.
We were facing civil rights matters. We don't know about the criminal part.
All I know is when you presented it to me, you were talking about fraudulent and corruption and things of that nature, and that is not what we deal with.
No.
Okay.
No, no,
All
no,
right,
no.
Next.
Look.
Next.
Look, this is the comment period. We're going to have dialogue, but we're going to have civil dialogue one at a time, please. That way everybody feels like they're heard and respected.
Ms. Holman, just to clarify, at no time did I ever say that any council members did something untoward or outside the charter. I had some issues with the former mayor and city manager, and a number of those things are documented. That is in the past. We are dealing now. Mr. Mecklin can speak to anything he wants to, should he choose to, as far as maybe a lack of communication that should have been done much better when this first began. And yes, I'm sure out of our own mouths, we said there were some things that were done backwards, and it shouldn't have happened that way. All right.
Okay.
We have someone else. We have others that want to
Vicky Dobbs, thank you for your patience.
All right, good evening. My name is Vicky Dobbs. I stand before you today, this evening, speaking on behalf of myself, my mother, Hazel Dobbs, my sister, Sherry Dobbs, and so many other family and friends that live in this community. We are deeply disappointed by this recent vote affecting the historic black community in Villa Rica. This decision feels like a betrayal to the people, history, and legacy that helped shape the community. So we're heartbroken and deeply worried about this road that's being built through our community. This is not just a construction project to us. This is our neighborhood, our homes, and a place where families have built their lives. My mother's been there I'm 66 years old. My mother's been there long before that. And she can't move nowhere else. Leadership should protect, honor, and invest in historic neighborhoods, not support actions that risk erasing our significance and future. I think you have failed us tremendously. Our community deserves transparency, accountability, and leadership that listens. We will not stay silent when decisions are made that disregard the voices, concern, and heritage of residents who have fought to preserve their history for generations. We are calling on those who are responsible, you city council members, and some of you have said it, to let us know and explain your vote. Why did you do this? And stand behind the community with honesty and respect. Because history matters. Community, it matters. And we will continue to speak up for both. You owe this community nothing less than that. We are deeply concerned about the road being built through our community. Many of us believe this project could lead to the loss of many more homes, like my mom's home, and buildings, along with continued growth of retail space that permanently changes the character of a neighborhood. Because you're going to build a road, you know next is going to be condos and restaurants and stuff. So I'm looking out for my mom, because she lives there too. Where do we go from here? What should the resident expect as these plans move forward? So we deserve answers. We deserve clear communication and respect, knowing exactly where things lie ahead of it for us. And I'm sorry, but I've got to address the black council members. I'm very disappointed in you. Your legacy will be forever ruined. Not about the things that you did before this, nor the things that you're going to do after this. You'll be forever remembered, in my opinion, as the terrible three. I'm sorry. It was your vote on eminent domain that will be remembered, not just as a policy decision, but as a statement that our voices, our homes, and our black history was not protected. No matter what it costs, it matters to us. Legacy is not built by title alone. It's shaped. But anyway, I hope and pray that you take the correct path.
Linda Martin. You're
Thank
next.
you. I'm Linda Martin. I live on Shoreline Parkway in Mirror Lake, which is the other side of Villa Rica Parkway. I would ask that, I understand this is going forward and there may not be enough you can do to stop it, but please look forward and try and mitigate the speeding and the traffic on this road. I live on Shoreline, up from the bridge. I cannot get my mail. I cannot mow my yard without fearing of being hit. We have speed bumps, but they're not appropriate. And so I just ask that y'all, whoever is doing the engineering, look at a plan to prevent the speeding that will go through a neighborhood where there might be children, like Shoreline. Nobody anticipated that Stockmar to Shoreline would become, the Parkway to get to the interstate. The other thing is that AI said, this was to help Mirror Lake community get to downtown. I don't think anybody ever asked Mirror Lake whether we wanted to get to downtown. Today, I ate lunch at Gabe's. I happily turned, on Pumpkintown Road and went to Connors Road and got there quite fast. I don't know if I would ever use the Parkway. I now refuse. Once I went down Cleghorn, the speed bumps, my car didn't like it. And I realized that I don't need to go that way. And I don't. And I hope, citizens of Mirror Lake and other people will not go through your neighborhoods, like speeding in particular. But I'm very concerned about the speeding. Thank you.
Tracy Evans.
Yes, my name is Tracy Evans. I'm standing in for my sister, Dolores Evans, who is in the back. She lives at 380 Darden Street. Something flying around here. I need to know specifically what's going on Darden Street. We started doing her house up, and next thing we knew, we had all kind of city workers coming through, taking pictures. I saw some of them taking pictures. They may say they did not, but they did. All of a sudden, just because we started working on her house. And so we need to also know exactly what's going on Darden Street. Yes, she lives in a beautiful area. As I painted her house, I painted her whole house. As I painted it, it was so peaceful back there. So I know that's what you want. I know it's a waterfall, it's a lake, creek back there. I know that's what you want. But it's just shameful of the city of Villa Rica. And to find out that there are now more than one minority on this board that could have voted differently. Yes, you say, oh, we had two choices. I agree with them. No, there's another choice. There's always another choice, especially the one that's over the ward. There's always a no, no matter what the consequences, because you're voting, you're there for these people. You're there for the people in your ward. You're not here just to look good on the council. So it's a shame. But suck-ups will stick together with the butts that they've kissed in order to get the positions they have. The Lords have prepared residents for this very reaction. And they're prepared to go to court to show how the city wants to change a black community of homeowners who's been there for generations. Replace a place where they've lived. They want to replace it with the dog park, golf cart road, and another road that leads into town that's actually not even needed. All this shows is that black people are still treated lower than those very dogs that they want to let play, piss, and poop on the inheritance given these black people by their mothers and fathers. The last time I was here attending a meeting, even the city manager said that we have to have this land because we've already told bondholders. To let you know, the Security and Exchange, the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission said it is illegal. It says highly illegal to tell bondholders that you own property that you do not, and that it is punishable by criminal acts against the whole council. So, you didn't own this, but it's fraud. I'll tell you this as I close out of here. While I don't believe in karma, I do believe in the vengeance of the Lord. And he's going to personally get every council person on this board. So when situations in your lives seem to be going all wrong, no matter what you do, watch out. That's not karma, that's God.
I believe there was one question, I picked up one question there. It was, what is going on Darden Street?
Mark?
And don't know what that is, what we're referring to.
Yep.
Because that was one of the names listed that my nephew Kwasi sent us, saying that yes, they're affecting land on 380 Darden Street.
Yes, that's the drainage easement on the previous map.
That's
The blue dot.
That
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So that is the land where they want the back of her house.
Not the house. There's just a drainage easement.
But if they want that, she's already close to it. Then she'll be condemned. Then she'll be condemned if she give you 2 inches or 3 feet. You're at her back of her house. And then what's going to happen? She's going to get a code enforcement from the city.
No,
your house will be condemned because you're too close to the creek. You got to sure up that with concrete. You got to sure up that with beams just so that she can
ma'am.
live there.
That wouldn't happen because she's already too close to the creek.
Yeah, but then you're going to, okay, so now you're going to call code enforcement anyway.
No,
say
ma'am, we
that.
can't do that.
Okay, we're just, because we're making sure.
No, we
We're
can't do
doing
that.
her house up, and then all of a sudden, so many people coming around. And my sister said, oh, it's so many city people been down here, and we've noticed of them sitting in the cars doing this with their phones her way. So,
Okay,
we had a
we need
list
to
of-
move on.
We had a list.
We need to move on.
It's a drainage easement.
Will you explain what that drainage easement is? What it is?
Yeah, so it's similar to a temporary easement, but it is a permanent easement, and it is for drainage, and it's for the city to be able to go in and repair that head wall on that big pipe. Actually, I think this is the smaller one. It is the smaller one. But to do any repairs that come up in maintenance.
Okay, the next 3 participants are Courtney Noel. Am I saying that right? Okay. Linda Parrish and Danita Pritchett. You can go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Knoll, and I've lived here since 1987, which means that I have been here since I was in the 3rd grade. Miss Brooks back there was my principal. Dominique, I campaigned for you when you ran for mayor. And I am disappointed. When I moved to Villa Rica had the Hardys, the Big Buy, the Ingles, a couple gas stations, and a vibrant downtown that was always busy. Some of you may remember my mama and my aunt, who ran Scarlett's Unique Pet Shop with the giant iguana painted on the side of the building across from this building. Since Villa Rica has grown tremendously, especially in the last couple of years, Villa Rica has grown tremendously, especially in the last couple of years. But I am failing to understand why we have the rush and the push for Villa Rica why we have the rush and push to destroy one of Villa Rica's historic black communities so that Mirror Lake can have yet another pathway to downtown. They already have multiple pathways downtown, and so I'm wondering why we need another one for them to get down to the center of town. The city council, since the new city council members have taken over, mayor included, it seems like all the downtown revitalization that we were promised has stopped. Not too long ago, I remember there was a plan to have a welcome center at Butterballs. We've had plans to have a walkable area downtown with restaurants and event spaces. We've had plans for a green belt. All of those things seem to have evaporated. But we still need yet another road for Mirror Lake to come downtown. It seems like the priorities of the city council has changed without giving the information to the city of Villa Rica. And while I do have your attention, I also want us not to forget that the data center is still coming to South Van Wert and Hickory Level. This is not only going to wreck my side of town, as it's just 3 miles away from my home. Also, I wonder, how come we didn't get a vote on that? Granted, we're outside of city limits. However, this is going to directly affect my home, my property values, the city of Villa Rica's property values. It's going to affect the water supply, the electricity that the county supplies. It's going to affect all of that. And I'm wondering why our side of town was just handed this dumpster fire with no input on it whatsoever. And yeah, so that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Courtney? Oh, sorry. Linda Parrish.
My name is Linda Parrish, and I live, I'm sorry.
Was there a question? Because I didn't quite pick up.
Why do we even need this parkway at all? Why was it even needed?
David, would you like to give the history?
Yeah, let me just give a little bit of the history as to how we got to the point of anybody thinking we needed a parkway. And someone, it was not me, but someone went back and created the timeline of it. When I started serving as a city attorney here back in 1993, there was no Mirror Lake. There was nothing over there at all. Interestingly, but not important probably, but at one time that land was going to be developed into Gone with the Wind theme park. That was the very first thing for that area. Fortunately, that idea died. But Mirror Lake got built late 1990s, 96, 97, 98. From that time forward, for about 15 to 20 years, a big issue was in city council meetings. Every council meeting, there were issues between Old Town Villa Rica and Mirror Lake. The city was divided, really. It was divided ideologically and geographically. And it got to be a fairly big issue that was inherent in virtually everything that the city did. There was always a discussion about, well, is this benefiting Mirror Lake or is this benefiting, Villa Rica? And it was talked in those terms, that there were really two different towns here. And that was a concern to the council, to the mayors of that time, to everybody, that we were developing two cities and two counties with two school systems, and we weren't having a unified Villa Rica. It very well may be, but the thought was that coming up with a direct connection between the two would ease those types of issues. Whether it has or not, I don't know, but that was the thought behind it. So I just wanted you to know what led councils for over 20 years have been working towards this and talking about it. They recently began taking more direct action, but the thought has been out there for a long time. So that's the reason.
Yeah, and I would just add that one of the, I wouldn't say it's necessarily more recent, but is the talk of being as walkable and bikeable, which we are not, and trying to put in more sidewalks, include sidewalks with the roads, and have a way that people can get downtown without having to get in a car. Push a stroller, ride a bike, walk, and not just downtown. We can't get to the library right now from a lot of places safely. And so the desires to connect us more and to, which was mentioned earlier, was traffic flow plays into it. When there's an accident on 20, everything flows over to 78, and you'll see Mirror Lake Boulevard, Punkintown back up, and you'll see 78 back up. The more roads you have going east and west, north and south, give people alternatives of ways to get places, including to the hospital. We also had a problem with getting emergency vehicles into the neighborhood of Cleghorn, Darden, Macaulay, because every time the railroad, Norfolk Southern, would park at the crossing there, sometimes for hours. One time it lasted as long as 3 days. Emergency vehicles could not access the neighborhood without turning around, working their way up through narrow streets to get there. The first half of the Parkway has been a massive change in that. There also allows people by foot to be able to walk up to the stores and to jobs from there with just the first half that's been built. So that's part of the thinking, as well as the connecting, and in a way that it's also safe and walkable.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Linda Parrish.
My name's Linda Parrish, and I live on the other side of town on Parkway Circle. I agree with everything these ladies have said about how everything was handled. Of course, my grandpa would say, well, the cow's out of the barn now. But the fact of the matter is you have to carry on with what other people before you have decided, and it still impacts us. We have, on average, 2 accidents a week at the bottom of that hill at Punkintown Road. Where does the sidewalk end? Mirror Lake. When there were too many accidents at Mirror Lake, let's put in a red light. We have been constantly told we're going to put a roundabout right there at the end of Parkway Circle. We're going to put a roundabout down by Dr. Woodall's house. And we're like, why? Why can't you do something? The flow of traffic for us, my neighbor is 85 years old, and she comes in and out of that road across from Mayor McPherson's house on a daily. For us to sit down there and have to hope that we are not going to get rear-ended when we come out of our neighborhood is a concern for us too. But it's like, again, where the sidewalk ends. And ma'am, as an indigenous woman of Native American descent, and I claim to be a person of color, their concerns are my concerns. I have brown people, red people, yellow people in my family. But the fact of the matter is you cannot buy memories. These people, my family has been in Villa Rica since the Carrolls settled Carroll County. My grandparents worked Southwire and the sock mills that right down the street. That's our heritage. But where we have a logical complaint is the fact that we find out after the fact. Again, the cow's out of the barn. What do we do about it? But the fact is there has to be a way for you to come together and say, okay, we have a way where our place where you can come in, whether it be the library or City Hall or whatever, to where you can go in and you can access any of those documents from when all this menagerie started. It wasn't just one project, it's 2 or 3. And I'm running out of time, but the fact of the matter is my first question was, I've lived here 25 years when I've moved back home. Why do we need a roundabout on 61? And the DOT said, well, it's going to cost us about $3 million to build a red light. Again, what about the people that live here and we're already here?
Georgia DOT is in the process of starting that project, and they're in the early stages, and the next part of the project will be a PIOH, which is a public information open house. That will be next on the 2 roundabouts, one at 61 and one at 61 and 78, and the next road, which is going to the high school in 78.
And see, that's another thing that we've brought up questions about high schools. You've got 2,064 new dwellings coming into, but where are we going to put these kids? Where are they going to go to school?
Sorry, it's not Little Rica Parkway related, and the 3 minutes are up. I'm sorry.
You still didn't answer my question, though.
Demita Pritchett.
Feel like anything wasn't answered completely, please stay in contact. We can certainly follow up if something's missing.
Hi, Demita Pritchett. A couple questions. You mentioned that the Parkway was to benefit connecting Mirror Lake to downtown for walkways and golf carts. Financially, what is the benefit to Villa Rica? You're not building anything downtown. If I live in Mirror Lake, if I want to get to downtown, I just take one of the other roads. This Parkway is not going to make me frequent downtown anymore. Also, you say you spent all this money developing this Parkway. Who did you promise to continue this Parkway? What developers did you promise that you would continue this Parkway, and what did you promise them? It wasn't just, oh, we're going to promise to complete this Parkway. It has to be some other development that you promised these developers, because it's just not a road. There's no way it's just a road when there's multiple different ways from Mirror Lake to get to Villa Rica. I traveled them all, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. We are not Atlanta. We don't need all these different ways to get to downtown Villa Rica. You blink, you are passed down to Villa Rica. So There's no way this money you're spending, the justifications, the information you're giving us justifies you building this parkway. Nothing justifies it other than greed, or you just don't want to fight for the people of Villa Rica, and you're like, we're just going to give in to whatever these developers want and let them have it.
When you address that, maybe we can explain a little bit about how for the answer in regards to expenditure of money, how the developer is able to come in and do things on the hard developed property, and why that infrastructure, they get certain benefits, but they do the improvement. Fuquay.
Yes, the
Yeah.
first phase of Villa Rica Parkway was done by the Fuquay development, as you mentioned, and then we're doing the second phase. David, did you want to?
Yeah, as far as agreements, there is the agreement with Fuquay, which all tied into the TAD program, though. I mean, the councils intended to spur development on that side of town. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Mayors and councils for years wanted to increase development on that side of town, in that community. And that's part of the TAD agreement, is in order to spur development. The city entered into agreements with a development company that has built started the development over there that led to the Publix and all those other buildings that are over there. We entered into agreements with the school system and with the county in order to raise the funds to do that through what Jennifer explained as the TAD agreement. Doesn't raise taxes at all, but what it does is that the tax money that comes from the new development goes to pay for the bonds. Part of the agreement, I mean, you'd have to read through all the agreements with the schools, but part of the agreements with the school system was that the development was intended not to attract school-age students. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you what the intent was and what the agreements are geared towards. That's what the school system wanted. So.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't relate to just Fuquay. The TAD agreement applies to any development that occurs within the TAD area, and it.
What was promised with that TAD in that area that you're creating that new park? What other things were specifically said that we would give them, the city of Villa Rica would give for that TAD? It can't be just the road. So what other development? Was it condos? Was it businesses? Like what other things were promised?
I don't know I can't answer that question as to what was promised. I don't know the answer to that question. I believe it was just, you come in and develop this area, improve development in the area, and the zoning had to be approved for it, and there were public hearings for any zoning that took place.
But we have a contract. I mean, we have a contract with it, so what's written in the contract? Villa Rica has to do the second half of the road. I mean, I think that's what she's trying to get at. Did we say we would do anything else aside from finish the second half of the road?
To promote the TAD, we did agree with the schools and the county to build the road, because that was a part of the TAD agreement.
Okay, we're going to move on for the people who've signed in for comment. Josh Evans, Joyce Knowles, and Marilyn Robinson. Is Josh Evans here?
No, I think I saw Josh going out.
Okay. All right, Joyce Knowles?
Yes.
All right.
My name is Joyce J. Knowles. When my mama and daddy built that house, I was 1 year old. Now I will be 77 years old, my birthday in July. And we've been there 76 years. And Villa Rica wanna come, and my daddy built that house. He built that house. My mama wasn't working. She seen about her children. And now Villa Rica wanna come and take the house. And we gonna fight. We gonna fight. Miss McPherson, we gonna fight. Cause this is wrong. This is wrong. Okay, y'all can go into your little closet and all of that. But guess who's hearing you? My Jesus. He's hearing all what y'all saying. Amen. You want to say something?
Yes, good evening. I'm Marilyn. Good evening. My name is Marilyn Robinson. I just have one quick comment I want to make. The word says in Isaiah 54:17 that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And it feels like a weapon has been formed against all of us in our land, our property, but it won't succeed. It won't prosper. And that's all I want to say.
Monica Taylor, Terrence Sinkfield, and Virginia Smith. Is Monica Taylor here? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Jeannie Dobbs Glanton, in which she is named after Glanton Heinzman Elementary and is the homeowner of this home here off of 410 Macaulay Street, which is still standing, which is historical property. And I want to know why 410 Macaulay Street is not actually indicated in the county records. And the Darton Street is my great-great-grandmother's property, which is heir to heir. All of this property here is heir to heir property. And I would like to know why 410 Macaulay Street is not even in the county records at all. So if anything, I would definitely like to see that historic home not being bulldozered over, at least reserve it because of my grandmother's dignity here in the city of Villa Rica. At least shelter it for a safe house or something besides a dog park and whatever else it's developed for. But I definitely will stand with the Knowles family because that adjacent family to what her family built, in which we are kindred, my great-great-grandfather and grandmother also built that land. So I stand with them confirmedly, and it is definitely injustice in what you guys are doing. And that's all I have to say.
I don't know if we're able to answer that question. I
with the
think it'd be the
county.
county. You'd have to go to the county government tax assessor's office or county tax.
Yeah, it'll be the tax assessor's office. I'm looking it up right now. I haven't found it yet.
I know it's right here. I have the paperwork. I went and pulled the paperwork, and
Yes, ma'am.
the county can't even tell me no kind of registration.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I don't see it on there on the county's map.
And it's also listed as 125 Macaulay Street, and even on the mailboxes, it has a whole different address.
So-
It has always been 410 Macaulay Street.
Well, the 125 Macaulay Street has been purchased by the city. That was the last house. That's the one directly past Miss Knowles' house.
Okay, well, how can you do that when 410 Macaulay Street is not even listed
Does she need to come up to the mic?
in the county records?
So we did a title search. Well, 410, 125 Macaulay is. I didn't see 410.
Street has been over 80 years, sir. 410
I know.
Macaulay. So my
Well, we did a title search on 125 Macaulay. And they were the owner. Raphael Augustine was the owner of 125 Macaulay. Raphael Augustine.
Okay. All right, Terrence?
Yes, this kind of to piggyback on what the media were asking. When will we be able to know the future plans for any projects coming to Villa Rica outside of the byway, the road by Publix? Because the reason we having this meeting now is because we didn't know what was supposed to be talked about 10 years ago. So we can talk about some of them other things. Where can we find the plan? Is it somewhere online that we can look at the future plans of Villa Rica? What's to come? What buildings? What's roads? If we knew about these things prior to, we could voice our opinion. But if we find out after the bulldozers come and create a new road, we can't voice an opinion. It has to be somewhere online where we can look.
Yeah, I think I can answer that question in there. And by and large, the zoning laws of the city are going to help control some of that. And the zoning maps, I don't know if they're on the city's website or not, but they're certainly available at City Hall to come look at the zoning maps to find out what is okay, whether an area is zoned for commercial or industrial or residential or multifamily use. You can go look at that right now. And so if an area is already zoned for commercial, all somebody has to do is walk in the door and say, I want to build a store in a commercial zone.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know that there is any way that you will know that. But for a residential, you know, if something is zoned residential and somebody wants to change that to try and build a development on it, a commercial development, they have to go through a rezoning process, look for the sign on the property because that would announce rezoning.
Okay, I got more questions. I appreciate it. I see my time going out. So what's the plan with the park that they have right there on Claycorn Street? What's y'all plan with that park?
So the park on Claycorn Street is currently owned by the Arbors at whatever the name of it is. So we have property at Robbie Bishop Parkway, that big flat space. Have you been down there lately?
No.
So if you turn up Robbie Bishop Parkway, which was Fortune Parkway when it was developed, the property on the left is a park, and we've got money for it. We've got plans, well, concepts, and have we named it yet? Did we name it officially?
Well, what are we gonna do with the current park? Like
The current park is owned by the apartments. We do not. City does not own that anymore.
Okay.
Mark, can you provide some information on what exactly will be in the park? I know that there's some misunderstanding on what exactly will be included with the park. The dog park is something that has been mentioned multiple times. Pickleball, of course, we just have had our grand opening over at Gold Dust. If you can just give a little explanation on what all will be included in the park.
Yep. So we will have a public open house on this park to get some information from the public on what goes in. Currently, what's on our concept are a couple of basketball courts, walking path, gazebo, restrooms, playground. But we are having a public information open house. That would be, we'll advertise that. And so we'll get comments from the public on what y'all want in that park.
Okay. The anchor property that used to be the Publix, it can't be good for Villa Rica. Is it just going to stay vacant? Because y'all say y'all trying to build up Villa Rica, but right now, where Publix used to be at, you got a couple of restaurants right there, but the main attraction is just like a
We don't have any control over that,
Okay.
unfortunately.
For a 5-year lease, even after they were gone, it's extremely expensive. Businesses have looked at it, but
Monopoly.
nobody's gone in.
Okay.
It's disappointing, yeah. Big vacant area.
All right, that's all the questions I had.
Thank you. Virginia Smith? Is there a Virginia Smith? Okay. All right. No, we have other people listed. Narissa Kale Dobbs, Julie Yvonne Dobbs, Travis Spangler.
I'm Narissa.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I have a question on the card and then I have a follow-up. Did the city reference or commit any privately owned properties in agreements prior to actually owning or controlling them? Would be my first question. My second question is, will the gentrification of the crack continue? Because as we know, yes, we all know the colloquial term. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, everyone laughing because they know. But first it starts with Darden Street project. Then you say that there are other projects. I'm sorry, sir. You have not answered a single question, honestly. Like, people ask you a question, I don't know what you're hearing, but you don't answer their question. Mark Teal, you are just as bad at not answering questions. There are so many questions I have that were not answered, so I will definitely look for a follow-up. Also, Leslie McPherson, the mayor, you ran on a campaign where you came to Darden Street, talked to the people, even have emails proving that you said you were 100% against eminent domain. And yet, the eminent domain still went through. I know you said that it was due to the prior people, but the question is, from now on, also my final question is, from now on, will you be more transparent about projects that affect the constituents you have? Because you just put in an AI data center, and I'm going to tell you right now, absolutely no one wants an AI data center. No one wants this Darden project. But y'all are so out of touch that you genuinely believe that you're helping, and I don't understand it. And I did have actually a question for, I believe you, who was the financial person. Mm-hmm. It was about the checks made out to the brokers and other people during the Villa Rica Parkway project. Why, like, what was that about?
I don't know if I'm understanding
Can you help
the.
me clarify?
No, this is your time.
Okay, fair. But my whole thing is from the start, who has made money off of this? Is my question as well. Who has made money off of this?
No one.
I don't mean y'all on the council. I mean the developers, the brokers, everything. How does the appraisal process work? You said it's third party. Do we have proof it's fully third party? Do we have proof that it was fairly appraised? Do we have proof that the amount that y'all are offering is enough for the people who already own their properties to go and buy a house completely paid off? Because that's the thing that matters. Housing prices are ridiculous. Mortgage rates are ridiculous. And you are making people now go and find these places in a neighborhood that used to be there because of segregation. Once again, white people choose to tear it down. Thank you.
I'll kind of address some of the questions or comments that you made. Yes, it was a third-party appraiser. They have credentials and certifications and oaths of office that they have to. Bass
Bass and Associates out of Carrollton.
Okay, do y'all have any type of conflict of interest?
No, ma'am.
No.
When did they change their name?
They haven't that I know of. It's been Bass and Associates since the dad owned it. No, I don't think I don't know them personally. I don't think anybody else does. They only get paid, I promise, by the ones we get appraisals from. Because I send the appraisal with the invoice to accounts payable, so they see both. So there's proof there. And you had Can you come back to the mic, please? They can't hear y'all when you're on the mic when we're streaming. So your first question, I don't think we got your first question in the beginning.
The card, yes, I'm sorry, thank you. Did the city reference or commit any privately owned properties in agreements prior to actually owning or controlling them?
No.
But y'all, okay, I'm can y'all, I guess, clarify what it means by, so these properties weren't already bought out, right? That you're eminent domaining and stuff like that. But you're saying that you didn't commit properties that were privately owned, but these are privately owned, so I'm kind of confused.
I don't understand what you mean by commit.
I mean, well, you all, okay, I don't know who was all on the council originally, but I do know that it was voted through before anyone knew about it. As we all know, there was no transparency whatsoever. So I guess the question is, how did you say that y'all didn't commit private properties before owning or controlling them when this agreement and the whole Villa Rica Parkway project was put through without talking to anyone, and you didn't own the properties? So I'm kind of confused
So
how
according
you
to
didn't
Mr.
commit it.
Macklin earlier,
Yeah.
so in the agreement, we could purchase properties with the TAD money, or that could have been Jennifer. one or
Okay,
the other.
but they weren't
No, we didn't
owned
own
at
them.
the time.
No, the
Okay,
city did not
so-
own them.
So the answer would be, yes, you did commit any privately owned properties in agreements prior to actually owning or controlling them.
Well,
Yes,
not actually.
thank you
Because
for
during a
helping me get
roadway
the
project-
answer.
Okay.
What you, never mind, go ahead.
Yeah, we're at 8:55, so the public comment is at it.
So I don't get the rest of my questions answered?
You can send me an email, and we will be glad. That would be something that I was going to say to anybody here, that if you have additional questions from hearing the comments and the questions from the other participants, you're more than welcome to email me directly at the letter J, Hallman, HALLMAN, @villarica.gov. And I will be glad to take your emails, look at them, and get responses and send them to you. At this time, we want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and concerns. And before we close, I'd like to offer the floor to Councilman Barr for final remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Hallman. For those of you who are still here, as I stated earlier, there was a question to me, why did I vote the way I voted? And I'm going to get into that. Before I do, I don't know anything that I may say that may change your mind or make you feel better. I'm not about to do that. What I am going to do is address, some of the things that I've heard. And before anyone talked to me or asked me a question about any of this, I was already labeled as one of the Turbo 3 black people that are putting black people out of their homes. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty. I need to hear that, because that is what this is all about. I don't deny your voice, or I don't disenfranchise how you feel. But what I want to do is address some of those concerns that you have from my perspective and let you hear from me. First, I want to thank you all, each and every one of you, for being here tonight. I know emotions are high, and honestly, after listening to you all, I really do understand why now. I heard more about this project tonight than I did since I was elected. And I appreciate you for speaking up. If I felt like my property, my family, or my future was being affected, I would want answers too. So I commend you. I commend you for speaking up, for standing up, and just know you are citizens and you have rights. And if you choose to pursue whatever right that you have, it is within your will. Like many of you, I do not take this issue lightly. I hear the frustration, the anger, the fear, and the distrust surrounding this situation. And whether people agree or disagree, I think we can all agree that citizens deserve transparency, respect, and to feel like their voices matter. And that's what this was about. Our city is strong when we work together, especially during difficult moments like this. We may not always agree, but at the end of the day, we're still one community. We are VR. And the business of the city of Villa Rica is the people's business. It's your business. I want to be honest with you, and I don't make no excuses. This is a complicated and controversial issue that started before I was elected. When I came into office, decisions were made, money had already been spent, projects were already moving forward, and expectations were already in place. That doesn't mean the process has been perfect, and it doesn't mean people haven't felt unhearted or treated unfairly along the way, and I want you to know I hear you. I recognize that. You asked the question, why did I voted the way I voted? As your councilman, I voted based on the information and the legal guidance and facts that were presented to me at that time. But I also believe in leadership. And if any of you know me, I stand on leadership. And part of leadership meaning listening. And I hear you. Even after a vote is cast, you still can speak, and I still will hear you. If there are facts to discuss, questions to answer, or concerns that still haven't been addressed, let's talk about them openly and respectfully. I would never, and I will repeat, never ever support the wrongful treatment of any citizen. And I will always stand for fairness, accountability, and the protection of our community. My responsibility is not just to make decisions, but to ensure people are heard throughout the process. Now, I'm a little into this at about 100 days, a little bit more, and I'm working hard every single day to serve this city the right way. I'm not going to pretend every issue gets solved overnight, and I'm not going to pretend the government is always doing everything right. But I will promise you this: I will continue to listen, continue to ask questions, continue to push for transparency, and continue to put the people of Villa Rica first as how I campaign. And I also campaign on delivering results. And sometimes the two will conflict. So instead of fighting each other on social media or allowing rumors and division to grow, I am challenging you. I'm encouraging you to reach out to me directly. I know Ms. Hallman said you can reach out to her, but I'm asking you at this point now. As I stated earlier, I heard more tonight than I ever heard on this project since I've been in the seat. So call me, text me, talk to me, because I work for you. Regardless of your race, your sex, your religion, as we heard tonight, I am a God-fearing black man. I'm deacon at my church, and I take any kind to anything that you have to say about my spirituality. Or if you, regardless of your party affiliation, all I want you to do, and I'm asking you to do, and I'm urging you to do, and I'm begging you to do, come to me, come talk to me, come to these city council meetings. If you see me in Publix, on the streets, wherever, anybody who knows me already know that I will talk. I will set up a meeting. I will meet you. That's all I do pretty much every day. Just meet with citizens like you all. And many of them come to me, and I start working on their issues. And I'll do the same thing for you. To my mayor and council, to the leadership, the staff, I just want you all to know, at the end of the day, if the people fail, this city fails. Again, if these people fail, this city will fail. After listening to what I heard tonight, I just kind of changed up what I was going to say. And what I'm saying to you right now is that I will not let this city fail. Regardless of what you think about me, regardless of what you say and how you feel, I'm fighting for you regardless. And that would not happen while I sit in this seat. So again, I urge you to come to me. I urge you to talk to me. And together, what my prayer is that we can work together and move past this issue, whether it's resolved or whether it's unresolved, that we move on. I heard questions about what's next. What are developments that are coming up after all of this? Well, then we need to go ahead. Since the questions are here, you're here, we all know what's going on at this point. I've learned a lot of new things. Let's go ahead and have those conversations. Let's go ahead and get in front of them so you're not here tonight wasting your time on something that you should have been told years ago. I was told that you all knew. And I apologize. And I'm sorry. And I'm not too big to say I'm sorry. And I'm not too big to say I failed you. But I would not let this city fail. Come to me, talk to me. If you got information or whatever you have that would discredit anything that I know, I can't speak for my council members, but I will tell you, I will stand up for you. Thank you. Sure.
No. No. Can we take, can you ask, no, can you talk with her after?
When
the
you
meeting?
campaign,
Sure,
you
I'll
said
answer the
you
question.
talked with Jeff Reese to find out about it. I want to know, did you ever come talk to the community specifically? Because I know
I never talked to Jeff Reese.